The Galactic Concord had existed for 10,000 cycles. It was a council of 1,000 worlds, a web of civilizations bound by treaties, trade, and the shared arrogance of age. They believed they had mapped every intelligent species worth mentioning. Every race, from the crystal minds of Polarion to the mist beings of Harl, was catalogued, indexed, and ranked by their technological, cultural, and military achievements. Humanity had never appeared on their maps. The first whisper came through the long-range beacon arrays of the Varelian outposts. A small blue planet circling an unremarkable yellow star had suddenly burst onto the galactic network. No invitation, no petition for entry, no acknowledgement of conquered law, just a transmission, simple, direct, and unsettlingly confident. It read, "To those listening, we are aware of you." The Concord dismissed it as a fluke. Many primitive worlds stumbled upon old network frequencies. But then came another message, this one encoded in a format that no species outside the Concord should have known. "We have been watching for some time." Curiosity turned to concern. A scout vessel was dispatched to the Sol system. It never returned. The Concord assumed mechanical failure until fragments of its hull were found drifting near the asteroid belt. They were cleanly cut, molecular bonds severed in a way that no known weapon could replicate. Quiet fear began to grow. Then the first meeting occurred. There, Concord assembled within the great amphitheater of Aurelius Prime, a world so ancient its foundations were built before light reached its nearest moon. Delegates from across the stars shimmered in their ornate armor and robes, floating, slithering, walking or humming in their native frequencies. They gathered under the colossal dome that symbolized the unity of the galaxy. At the center, the high speaker announced that an unknown envoy had arrived. The chamber dimmed. A ripple of soundless anticipation spread as a single figure materialized at the heart of the platform. It was human. He wore no armor, no translator nodes, no symbol of rank. Only a simple dark suit and an expression calm enough to make even the most hardened warlords uneasy. The high speaker addressed the newcomer, voice echoing through the chamber's resonance field. "You stand before the Concord of Worlds. State your origin and your purpose." The human inclined his head slightly. Origin, Earth, purpose, introduction. The translation nodes flickered, processing the simplicity of the reply. The high speaker tilted her crest. "Earth is not known to this council." "You claim sovereignty?" "Humanity does not claim," the envoy said quietly. "We simply are." Murmurs erupted among the delegates. The phrase carried no arrogance, yet something in its delivery unsettled them more than a declaration of war could have. The envoy continued, "For centuries we observed your borders. We learned your languages, your sciences, your wars. We remained silent. We wished only to understand before we spoke." The high speaker tried to maintain composure. "Observation without consent is a violation of Concord code." The human met her gaze. "Consent is irrelevant when one can see through walls." A chill passed through the assembly. The Concord prided itself on surveillance capabilities, on sensors that could map the molecular composition of a planet's crust. Yet this being spoke as though those technologies were toys. The high speaker leaned forward. "And what does your species wish from us now?" The envoy smiled faintly. "Nothing. But you should know that you are not alone at the top of your ladder anymore." It was not a threat, but every delegate felt it as one. After the meeting, the Concord held emergency sessions. Reports began flooding in. Ships shadowed by invisible crafts, data networks infiltrated by unknown code, entire planetary systems scanned by signals too complex to trace. The Concord tried to retaliate, deploying fleets toward the Sol sector. They expected resistance. They found silence. Their ships reached the edge of the system and stopped. Not by choice, but by force. Every navigation system simultaneously failed. Their engines powered down without reason. Then across the black void, a signal reached them. It was not words, but music. A slow rising harmony built from mathematical sequences so intricate that even their quantum AIs took hours to decode. When they did, the translation horrified them. The melody was a map of every Concord fleet position across the galaxy, every command structure, every secret installation. Humanity knew them all. The fleets withdrew. For a time, the Concord convinced itself this was bluff and coincidence. They reassured one another that humanity's knowledge was surface deep, gathered through stolen data and espionage, until the day of the demonstration. It began when the Concorde held its grand military parade, meant to show unity and strength. Thousands of warships hovered above the skies of Oralis Prime, engines blazing, cannons gleaming like suns. The crowd below roared in pride. Then, without warning, the sky went black. Every star, every glimmer of light beyond the atmosphere, gone. Not obscured, but erased. Instruments screamed in confusion. Gravity sensors flickered. The planet's magnetic field twisted upon itself, and then, slowly, the darkness parted. From the void emerged shapes, vast, angular, and utterly silent. Human ships. Not sleek or ornate like those of the Concorde, but functional, brutal, beautiful in their simplicity. Their surfaces absorbed starlight, bending it like liquid shadow. There were 5 of them, each one larger than the Concorde's greatest dreadnought. The high speaker whispered in disbelief, "What are those?" The voice of the human envoy echoed across the atmosphere, transmitted without delay, distortion, or permission. "You paraded your weapons. We brought ours to watch. No weapon fired. No beam, no missile, no threat. Just the silent procession of impossible ships drifting above the capital of the galaxy. And when they turned away, they vanished, not through faster-than-light drives, but by folding space like silk. The galaxy froze in awe. Within days, the Concorde fractured. Some species demanded war. Others surrender, others contact and cooperation. All agreed on one truth. Humanity had achieved something beyond comprehension. Rumors spread faster than light, it was said. Humanity had unlocked the language of creation, the mathematical core underlying physics itself, that they could rewrite gravitational constants, mold space-time as artisan-shaped clay. Some said they found the algorithm that the universe used to define reality. When asked, the human envoy offered no confirmation, only a calm warning: power is not the point. Understanding is. And then humanity disappeared from the galactic stage. Centuries passed. Civilizations rose and fell. The Concorde rebuilt, though it never regained its old pride. Every species remembered the day when the stars dimmed, when humanity showed them what true mastery looked like. But the story was not over. On a cold day on the mining world of Vestron, a group of engineers uncovered a strange sphere buried beneath the crust. It pulsed faintly, emitting low-frequency waves that resonated with thought itself. They brought it to their capital for study. When activated, it projected a human face. Not the envoy, but another, calm, ageless, serene. "Greetings," it said. "If you are hearing this, your kind has reached a point where curiosity outweighs fear. We commend you," the scientists trembled. The projection continued. "We once sought meaning as you do now. We tore open the fabric of our reality to look beyond it. What we found was not gods nor chaos, but code. The same code that binds your atoms, your stars, your minds. We learned to speak it." The projection paused. "But to speak creation is to carry its weight. Be cautious. Every equation has a listener." Then it vanished, leaving behind an imprint, a library written in frequencies, not words. Inside were principles that defied every known law. The Concorde's brightest minds worked for decades to understand even a fraction. Those who succeeded whispered that humanity had not transcended into gods, but into stewards of existence itself. That somewhere beyond the visible universe they watched and waited, not to rule, but to guard, yet traces of them remained. Occasionally, a ship lost in deep space would receive a transmission of impossible clarity. Sometimes it would be coordinates to a safe route through a dying star's gravity well. Sometimes it would be a cure for an incurable plague encoded in a string of light. And sometimes just a single phrase: "Keep looking up." It became the unofficial creed of explorers across the galaxy. Generations later, the Concorde built its most ambitious project, a colossal ring world orbiting a neutron star, meant to harness the raw power of collapsed matter. The brightest species united in its creation, using every scrap of knowledge they possessed. When activated, the ring sang with energy. The neutron star's radiation bent, stabilized, and converted into pure computation. The galaxy watched in wonder. And then, at the center of the ring, a light appeared, not from the star, but from somewhere deeper. A shape emerged, impossibly small, yet infinite in complexity. It shimmered in geometric patterns that no eye could follow. The sensors went mad. Reality itself seemed to hesitate. A voice filled the air, soft and unmistakably human. "You've done well. Every being, every consciousness linked to the network heard it. The voice carried warmth and pride, like a parent watching a child's first step. The light expanded, resolving into a human figure standing on the ring's core. No ship had brought him. No teleportation signature existed. He simply was. The assembled leaders struggled for words. One managed to speak. "Are you the same as before?" The man smiled faintly. "No, we are many now. We became what we needed to be. But we never left. Why return?" asked another. "To remind you," the human said. "The universe does not end where your understanding does. It waits for those who dare to ask why." With that, he turned his gaze toward the star. The light around him intensified, and for a fleeting moment the entire galaxy felt it, a pulse that resonated with the core of reality. It was as if the cosmos itself inhaled, and then he was gone. The ring world stabilized. The project succeeded beyond expectation. Energy flowed freely, but more than that, every equation, every field of physics subtly changed. The galaxy had shifted. In the aftermath, scientists found traces of new constants embedded within space itself. Equations that only made sense when viewed as communication. Humanity had spoken again. Not in words, but in the language of the universe. The message was clear. We are still here. And so can you be. From that day, the phrase spread across 1,000 worlds. The galaxy, once proud and fractured, united under a single aspiration, not to dominate, but to understand. And whenever explorers gazed upon the night sky, they felt something vast yet familiar watching. Not gods, not conquerors. Humans. The ones who had looked at creation, learned its tongue, and whispered gently back to it. The galaxy, for all its age and arrogance, had finally learned to listen. And in that silence between stars, where light and thought entwined, the memory of that moment endured, the moment humanity revealed its true might, and the galaxy forgot how to breathe.